Your old age security check is about to be recalculated, and if you get this wrong, the CRA is going to take 15 cents of every single dollar you earned above a number you have probably never seen on any of your tax documents. Starting in 2027, the Canada Revenue Agency is running what amounts to a wealth audit on Canadian seniors, a compliance sweep powered by artificial intelligence and automated data matching, comparing your bank deposits, investment accounts, property records, and benefit payments against what you actually declared. Here is the part nobody tells you. The deadline that decides everything is not April 30. It is December 31 of this year, because what you do now decides what your old age security looks like from July 2027 onward. Miss the moves I am about to give you, and you are not losing a deduction. You are losing a permanent slice of your retirement income. Skipping even one of these 5 moves can cost you thousands of dollars a year, every year, for the rest of your life. Before we get to the moves, you need to understand the machinery, because all 5 depend on it. The government reevaluates your old age security every single July, using your net income from the previous calendar year. Not your bank balance, not your savings, your net world income, exactly as the CRA computes it on your tax return. For the 2026 tax year, the number that matters is $95,323. Cross it, and you trigger the OAS recovery tax, a polite government name for a clawback. The math is brutal and simple. For every dollar your net income sits above $95,323, you repay 15 cents of your old age security. Push your income toward $152,000, and the clawback swallows your entire OAS, all $9,000 of it, every year. That is the battlefield, and December 31 is your last chance to change the terrain. Have you actually looked at your projected 2026 income? Not last year's return. Most seniors I talk to cannot tell me theirs within $10,000. That has to change today. Move 1. Protect your old age security by taking control of your projected net income before the ball drops. The advantage is enormous. The OAS maximum is currently $751.97 a month if you are between 65 and 74, and $827.17 once you hit 75, roughly $9,000 to $10,000 a year of guaranteed inflation-indexed income you earned through decades of work. Guarding it is the highest return work you will do all year. The disadvantage of ignoring it is the flip side, 15 cents of clawback on every dollar over the threshold, plus the extra marginal tax you pay on that dollar, plus the age amount credit shrinking another 15 cents per dollar, 3 separate penalties stacked on one income event. Here is the mistake I see constantly. A retiree decides in November to take an extra $18,000 out of her RIRF to help a daughter with a down payment, or sells a cottage that has climbed, and never stops to ask what that does to her income line. Let me show you the math. Say her income otherwise sits at $101,000. That extra $18,000 pushes her to $119,000, which is $23,677 to last over the line, and the OAS clawback alone eats $3,551 of it. She did not lose that money to the bank, the builder, or the tax preparer. She handed it to the CRA because nobody told her the calendar mattered. The how is straightforward. Before December 31, total your 2026 income on one piece of paper: pension, CPP, OAS, RRF withdrawals taken so far, capital gains realized, foreign pension income, rental income, everything. If that number is anywhere near $95,323, you have room to defend. Defer discretionary capital gains to January. Take only the mandatory minimum from your RRF, split up to half of your eligible pension income to your lower income spouse, and remember the quiet weapon: you can contribute to your RRSP until March 1, 2027, and still deduct it against your 2026 income, pulling your net income down and pulling your OAS back from the cliff. Move 2. If you are turning 71 this year, December 31 is the most expensive deadline in your entire retirement. The law is rigid. The last day you can contribute to your own RRSP is December 31 of the year you turn 71, and on that same date your RRSP must be converted into a registered retirement income fund, a RRIF, or used to buy a life annuity. Do you know the conversion date on your own statement? Most people do not. The advantage of converting properly is that your money keeps growing tax sheltered, you control your withdrawals, and once that RRIF exists, every withdrawal you take after 65 qualifies for the pension income credit and can be split with your spouse. The disadvantage of missing the date is catastrophic. If your RRSP is not converted by December 31, the CRA treats the entire plan as deregistered, and the full value lands in your income in a single year. A $400,000 RRSP would be taxed as if you earned $400,000 in 1 year, a bill that could easily hit 6 figures. The common mistake is assuming the bank will handle it, or telling yourself April is fine. It is not fine. The other mistake nobody mentions, keep contributing after that December 31 and every excess dollar carries a monthly overcontribution penalty of 1%, 12% a year on money you are not even deducting. And one more thing about RRFs. Ottawa granted a temporary 25% cut to mandatory minimum withdrawals for 2025, a one-year relief that is now gone. The full schedule is back. At 72, the minimum is 5.40%, at 73, it is 5.53%, so a $300,000 RIF at 73 forces a minimum withdrawal of roughly $16,590 this year, and yes, that amount counts as income against your OAS line. And if your spouse is younger, there is a legal shelter most couples never use. You can keep moving money into a spousal RRSP up to and including the year your spouse turns 71. Move 3. Collect the hidden tax credits you are almost certainly leaving behind. 2 federal credits exist specifically for people like you, and most seniors collect only one of them, or neither. The first is the age amount, claimed on line 31100 of your return. For 2025 tax filings, the base was $9,028 per person, worth roughly $1,354, and you qualify for the full amount as long as your net income is $45,522 or less, after which it phases out 15 cents per dollar until it disappears near $105,709 of income. The second is the pension income amount, up to $2,000 of eligible pension income per spouse, worth about $300 federally each, every year. Notice what does not count. OAS and CPP are not eligible pension income for this credit, which is why so many seniors never see it. The advantage of engineering for these credits is a combined federal windfall of over $3,000 a year for a couple before your province adds its own versions of the same credits. The disadvantage of ignoring them is silent and permanent. These are non-refundable credits that expire the moment your return is filed, with no carry forward and no second chance. The most common mistake I see is couples where one spouse holds 100% of the pensions and the other has none. The higher earner trips over the phase-out, the lower earner collects nothing, and the household loses thousands every single year, forever. The fix is pension income splitting. At 65 and older, you can move up to 50% of eligible pension income to your spouse on the return, which keeps both of you under the age amount phase-out line and can double the pension credit. It is not automatic, you have to elect it on the return every year, and almost nobody does. And if you or your spouse lives with any chronic condition, diabetes, mobility problems, Parkinson's, cognitive decline, investigate the disability tax credit. It is worth thousands, can often be claimed retroactively, and transfers to a spouse. Most seniors who qualify never apply because they do not think of themselves as disabled. The CRA is not going to come and find you, but they are going to audit you eventually. Who is going to find the credit for you if you will not look? Move 4. Close the reporting gaps that will light up like a Christmas tree in the 2027 audit sweep. This is the move nobody likes, because it is about forms, but it is exactly where the new automated system looks first. The paper trail is loudest there. 2 sets of rules bite in 2027. First, trusts. The CRA gave bare trusts, where you hold property in your name but for someone else's benefit, 2 years of administrative relief. No T3 trust returns for tax years ending in 2024 and 2025. That relief is over. For the 2026 tax year, which ends December 31 of this year, bare trust reporting returns. If your name is on a property or an account that really belongs to a child or grandchild, a family cottage, a joint account you are on for convenience, the CRA may treat you as a bare trustee, and the T3 return with Schedule 15 is due at the end of March 2027. The penalty clock runs $25 for every day it is late, minimum $100, maximum $2,500, and serious cases cost far more. Second, the foreign property form. If the cost amount of your foreign assets, a Florida condo, a U.S. brokerage account, a foreign pension plan, went over $100,000 at any point during the year, you must file Form T135 with your 2026 return by April 30, 2027. The advantage of dealing with this now is that a clean file is your best defense. Once your name is flagged, an honest history is the difference between a quick review and a 3-year deep dive. The disadvantage of ignoring it is death by 1,000 cuts, $25 a day, capped at $2,500 for every single year you missed, plus interest, plus penalties that multiply if the CRA decides the omission was deliberate. I have seen seniors hit with $7,500 in penalties alone, 3 years of an unfiled T135 because a snowbird condo slipped their mind. If you have missed years, there is still a lifeline, and it is time-sensitive. The revamped Voluntary Disclosures Program, updated in late 2025, offers full penalty relief and up to 75% interest relief, but only if you come forward before they come to you. Once the sweep flags your address, that door closes. Are you holding a foreign asset right now that has never appeared on a T-135? If you hesitated even for a second, that is your answer. Move 5. Use the last weeks of the year for donations and gains, deliberately. December 31 is the hard cutoff for charitable donations you want on your 2026 return, and for seniors with portfolios, the smartest giving move in the entire tax code is criminally underused. If you sell shares that have gone up and donate the cash, you first pay tax on the capital gain, which also counts as income and pushes you toward the OAS line, then you get a credit on what is left. If instead you donate the shares themselves directly to the charity, the capital gain disappears completely. The inclusion rate on gifts of publicly traded securities is 0, so there is no tax on the growth at all, and you still get the full donation credit for the market value, which can offset up to 75% of your net income and carries forward for 5 years. Take a $20,000 holding you bought for $8,000, sold. That $12,000 gain adds taxable income to your return. Donated directly, the gain vanishes, the charity receives the full $20,000, and your donation credit shrinks the tax you owe. One signature that protects your OAS, cuts your tax bill, and helps a cause you care about. Beyond donations, be ruthless about the timing of gains. The inclusion rate is still 50% for individuals this year. A planned jump to 2/3 was canceled, so selling is cheaper in 2026 than anyone feared. But that is not a license to sell carelessly. It is a reason to look at the whole year before you trigger anything. Before December 31, write down what you intend to sell in the next 12 months and choose the year that does the least damage to your net income line. And sweep the easy things. Your TFSA room for 2026 is a fresh $7,000, and any withdrawal you make before year-end gets that room back on January 1. But the real prize is that TFSA income is invisible to the OAS clawback. The more of your savings you hold there, the less the wealth audit can see. Here is your homework, and I want you to do it today, not next week. The financial version of a fire drill. Open your My Service Canada account and pull your OAS and CPP statements, then open your My CRA account and find your most recent notice of assessment. Look for the words Social Benefits Repayment or OAS Recovery. If those words appear, you are already on the wrong side of the line, and you have a few short months to fix this year's number. Then take one sheet of paper and write down your projected 2026 net income, pensions, CPP, OAS, RRIF withdrawals, capital gains, foreign income, rental income, everything. Compare it to $95,323. That one number tells you exactly which of these 5 moves matters most to you. And if you are turning 71 this year, hold a foreign property, or share a bank account with an adult child, do not leave any of this to chance. Book a session with a tax professional before December 31. That is not an expense. It is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy on your retirement income. The CRA's computers are not getting less curious in 2027, they are getting faster, and they are getting louder. Your financial future does not depend on luck, and it does not depend on the government being kind. It depends on whether you act before the calendar turns. Do it today.